Hello everyone, my name's Stephanie. I'm an Australian prep teacher and resource creator, and now I guess a YouTube video maker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what kinds of routines you might want to teach your preppies at the very start of the year. So the beginning of prep is pretty full on because you really do have to teach them everything. You know, you assume they know how to do something and then you go, oh boy, okay, I need to teach them. So I've put together a bit of a list of things that you might teach at the beginning of the year. There's probably a whole lot more than this list, but at least it will get you started. Okay, so I'll put some visuals here. Now these visuals are also in my Instagram, Loving the Littlies. So if you prefer to check them out there, you can. I'll also put a link below. But first things first, morning, you need to teach them how to unpack their bag. Okay, not just unpack their bag, where do they then put their stuff? So if they have a reading pouch, make sure they know where the reading pouch tub is, or you know, their lunchbox, do they keep that in their locker? Do they put that somewhere else? So you really need to teach them how to unpack their bag. Okay, so drink bottles. Lots of kids keep their drink bottles in the classroom, and I do highly recommend that. So you need to teach them, where do they put it? Are you going to have them leave it on their tables, or are you going to have a special spot in the classroom? So yeah, teach them where to put their drink bottle. Okay, so the next thing is, what do they do once they've unpacked their bag? You know, so are they allowed to play outside until the school bell rings? Are they allowed to play inside? Do you want them doing something at their tables? So whatever works for you, be very clear about what they can do before school. Okay, and then when the school bell goes, what do you want them to do then? Where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to the floor? If you do, teach them how to go to the floor calmly. Otherwise they'll all race there. No, you need to teach everything. You need to teach them how to walk calmly to the floor and perhaps how to find their sit spot. Okay, are you exhausted yet? You will be. It's full on. Okay, so teaching them how to sit on the floor. You know, in the old days we used to say they had to sit there with their legs crossed, but you know what? It's not actually a great idea to do that anymore. I like to give them some options because sitting with their legs crossed is not comfortable for all students. So I like to say you can sit with your legs crossed, you can sit mermaid, which you can't see, but it's basically when your legs are to the side. You could sit mountains, which is where you can sort of have your legs at front. You know, think about you as an adult sitting on the floor. Sitting crisscross isn't the most comfortable way. So as long as my students aren't bothering those around them, I don't really mind how they sit, but you've got to decide if that will work for you. These next few I'll try and go through fast, but teaching them how to raise their hand and wait. You know, a lot of kids will raise their hand but then call out. So some students like to do raise their hand and then they sit there like this to remind themselves to wait to be called upon. Where to look when you forget instructions. You know, when you're doing an activity and you're modeling it on the whiteboard, it can be really helpful to have step 1 and a picture of scissors cutting, step 2 glue, have actual visuals of the steps. Now you can buy those on Teachers Pay Teachers. I wish I had done that, it would have been a lot easier. I once made myself these little visuals of our glues. I wouldn't do that now. If you're looking for something similar, just go on to Teachers Pay Teachers. Some very clever teachers have made them for you. But having those visuals are great because, you know, if your mind wanders and you suddenly see your classmates move and you're like, whoa, what did I miss? They can look at the whiteboard and work out what the steps are. Okay, so gluing paper in a workbook. You'd think it would be so easy. Oh my goodness, it's not. You almost need to have a circle on the floor and everyone bring their workbook down and you teach them explicitly how to put the glue onto the paper that you're sticking down. They will do it in the book otherwise. It's best to do it on the paper. Then you teach them how to stick it down. But you've also got to teach them also that you don't just open up any random page, you have to go to the next page. So really a whole lesson on that is needed. Yeah, you'd think it'd be easy, but yeah, they do find that tricky. Okay, so teach them what they do when they've finished their activity. Do they go read in the reading corner? Do they get out whiteboards? I use something called a choice shelf, but I'll talk about that in another video. How to use pencils and texters correctly. Texters, you need to teach them to put the lid back on and hear the click. Pencils, I like to teach my kids that when they put them back into the cup, they have the pointy bit facing up because that way my LSO can see if they need sharpening or whatever. That's another thing. What do they do when pencils need to be sharpened? Do you want them to do that, or do you want them to put them in a special container to do at a different time? You need to teach them how to tuck in their chair. Tuck in that chair, tuck in that chair. You need to teach that a few times. how you want them to leave the tables, you know, what does a tidy table look like? Okay, you need to show them this is what it looks like, this is where the glues go back, this is where the scissors go back. And lastly in this section, where to sanitize. So you want to have hand sanitizer throughout the classroom, but yeah, where do they go to sanitize? I like to have mine right near the door. I have something, a little sign that says sanitation station, and that way they can sanitize on their way in and way out. Okay, we're almost there. So this part is all about routines outside of the classroom, so things that you want to teach them. So first of all, teach them how to line up safely, perhaps in one line or two lines, however you want to do it. Some teachers do it in roll order, some have a boy line, girl line. Either way, you need to teach them how to line up safely without touching anybody else. Oh my goodness, they jump on top of each other, touching, oh, pushing in, yes. So you do need to teach them how to line up very calmly, very safely. Also, where do they line up at the end of recess? So when the recess bell goes, you need to teach them that's when they go use the bathroom, and then they come back and line up. You need to teach them how to walk through the corridors quietly. You know, I'm always like, let's go with gentle feet. You know, if you see a teacher, an adult or a teacher coming, move to the side, and yeah, you've got to really teach them how to be very quiet. How to use the toilets appropriately. So that means, you know, closing the door, how to use the soap, how to use the water. Don't just assume that they know how to use these things. You need to be really clear. Last one I want to say is that when they're on yard, where do they go if they need help? You know, if they need a teacher's help, you need to teach them to look out for the teacher that's wearing like a yellow vest or whatever it might be, that they're there to help them. So these are just some routines you might want to teach your preps. Do spend some time teaching them though. I've made the mistake in the past of going too fast, and then I sort of spend the rest of the year, you know, trying to perfect these things. Whereas this year I'm going to be much more explicit, much slower, and make sure that they really understand the expectations and the routines so that the rest of the year will be a lot smoother. But if you like these visuals, remember I do have an Instagram, Loving the Littlies, which I'll link below, so you can always save that Instagram post so you don't have to write yourself any notes. And don't forget to also hit subscribe. That way you get notified whenever I put out a new video. And please be sure to share this with any prep teachers that you know, because prep teachers are my people and I like to give out lots of helpful tips. I'll see you soon.